Robert Bobb is racing against the clock to reform Detroit Public Schools. His appointment as emergency financial manager has been extended to June 2011.
I think when we walk out, when we leave, we'll be able to look back and say we have caused a new educational revolution in Detroit, one of which is focused on children.
But he's faced with a deficit that's millions of dollars in the hole, and his critics continue to line up and take shots at him.
Robert Bobb couldn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, so I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know what to say.
But in a city where almost 50% of its people are functional illiterates, what hope is there when the school system is not doing its job?
You lose 60% of the students who enter the 9th grade. 60% of those drop out. And of the remaining 40%, you have a situation called social promotion, when you're promoted whether you pass the grade or not. And those two things leave you with a large pool of people, adults who grew up and can't read. Young people in this city have been trapped in this terrible situation where there's no opportunity for them. And nobody seems to really care about that. You know, and it's just, it's something that has to change, and we all have to do what we can where we are.
Margaret Williamson is the executive director of Pro Literacy Detroit. It's a nonprofit group that teaches people how to read.
And we've helped thousands of students. We estimate over 11,000 students since '84. And it's a very, when you look at it on the face of it, it's so simple. You have a motivated person who's volunteering, and you have a person that's come to you and admitted that they cannot read and want to improve themselves. And you put the two together, you have two very motivated people. And you get tremendous results that way. It wasn't always necessary in the past to know how to read in order to do manual labor. You have to be able to follow direction. In this information age, everything around us has to be processed. It's in word form, from the ATM machines to the menus on the wall, to the bus schedules, plane schedules. Anything that you want to do to maneuver in this society requires that you have a level of not just being able to read, but comprehension and retention, because you're going to be asked so many times things that require you to be able to read or respond.
She says being able to read opens so many doors.
It really is is your ticket to freedom. Because without it, you're confined in a very narrow space without any information except what people are telling you. And you just are left with just not being a part of the mainstream. You don't vote because you can't read the ballots. They don't have pictures on the ballots. You know, so it's just think about it. You know, it just limits you so. And then to get to a point in the 21st century when so many people are in that category, it's really sad.
In Detroit, there are currently 33 high schools. Williams says not all are dropout factories.
You have Renaissance and you have Martin Luther King. So if you can graduate people who can succeed, then why can't every high school in the city have the same thing that they offer at those schools? So you don't have to try to think, oh, how can I? Just go over there and figure out who's over there. And what I found was they had the best teachers over there, and they kept them engaged, and they taught them. If this was a school system where they were all had on Klan robes at the school board, and they did this to our children, we would be marching and screaming up and down Woodward Avenue. We just put them in some Klan robes, because you couldn't have really done, and I'm not comparing the people on the board to the Klan, I'm saying the politics of race in this particular instance has just tripped us up.
Meet DeJuan Collins. He's 22 years old and a graduate of Detroit Public Schools. He came to the Pro Literacy Center because he says he wants to be successful.
It became important to me after I finished high school, and I either had to go to college or find some work to have a skill. That's what education is more important. You have to read, you have to write, you have to do math, you have to think of what you want in life. like having a house, a car, some kids, a wife, a car, and even buying food. Instead of being selfish and don't care to do other things that's negative, just do the positive first and leave the negative beside you.
He knows there are 8-year-old kids who read better than he does. It's a challenge.
Opportunities to have face challenges and change them to opportunities so you could be successful in life. And you don't have to be afraid of doing the stuff you need to do.
He says this is critical for him. When DeJuan thinks going through his lessons is too hard, he remembers something a president once said.
Like this great American president once said, his name was President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This served like 12th term in his office since 1933 through 1945. That's the time he died in 1945. And his quote and his favorite word that people liked back then was, "You had nothing to fear but the fear itself."
It's only been a few weeks since DeJuan walked through the doors of the Pro Literacy Center, but he says it's giving him the tools so far that he needs to accomplish his goals.
It helped me to think and analyze what you should be doing and how you're going to get there, how to read, how to empower, how to succeed and make decent choices in life. Is look forward, not backward.
Robert Bobb has taken action to move the Detroit School District forward. However, time is running out. His appointment as emergency financial manager wraps up at the end of June 2011.
At what point do you say my work is done?
I don't think your work will ever be done. We have to change the way, not just the way we educate children in the Detroit Public Schools, but we have to change an entire culture and mindset that education matters, that these kids can perform. And then we who are responsible for the school system, we have to give them every opportunity that we can for those kids to achieve.
A quality education will help the children you see every day playing in your neighborhoods achieve their dreams. School Reform Now puts today's children back on track. This is one of 9 films in the Kids Aren't Cars series. To see them all, go to kidsaren'tcars.com.